Coming up on BG Weekly, we're a little less than a month out from spring, but the campus is already feeling spring fever. We're talking spring break safety and destinations ahead. Also, did you know that today is Pokemon Day? BG Weekly's Kelly Doyle will have more on how the cute little pocket monsters are actually putting money in people's pockets. Welcome to BG Weekly on BG24. I'm Reese Patrikas. We're hearing a lot about Senate Bill 1 and how it might affect universities in our state. BG24's Jonathan Angel is here to help break it down for us.
Thanks, Reese. Yeah, I talked to BGSU's faculty union president to address his concerns about the bill. And I also reached out to lawmakers representing our region to discuss why they support it.
My name is David Jackson, and I'm a professor at Bowling Green State University and the president of the BGSU Faculty Association.
David Jackson strongly opposes Senate Bill 1, so much so that he went to Columbus to testify against it earlier this month. The bill, consisting of around 24 topics, some of which Jackson thinks are very controversial.
Eliminating completely all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs without defining what those are, by promoting a version of academic freedom that could require faculty to accept students' beliefs, even if those are factual beliefs that are inaccurate.
One of Jackson's primary concerns is the bill's uncertainty and its language. While some of the objectives are clear, others are more open for interpretation. For BGSU, the removal of DEI funding would impact different marginalized groups, campus resources, and scholarship funds. Classroom discussions will change as curriculum will be more openly investigated. American history will become standardized, focusing on a more patriotic-centric view rather than historical injustices. University faculty's ability to strike will also be severely affected or taken away entirely as well. Hoping to learn more about the bill, I reached out to Teresa Gabaron, an Ohio State senator representing BGSU, about why she supports the bill. A representative from her office called me back, declining an interview and referring me to her official statement on X instead. Part of her statement says that students have contacted her saying they can't express their beliefs to their professors. Also, Gavarone says that if faculty can't strike, then families won't worry about losing out on their tuition dollars. So the next time you walk around campus, Jackson gives some practical advice to take with you.
And if students are concerned about the bill being either in favor of it or against it, to reach out to their state legislators and let them know their opinion.
The bill is expected to begin hearings in the Ohio House of Representatives the week of March 11th. To read the bill more for yourself, visit bgfalconmedia.com.
Moving on to weather, Alexa Massey is here to tell us what to expect over the next few days. Alexa?
Thank you. So looking into the weather tonight, we're seeing some clouds with a high of 44 and a low of 30. We're seeing wind speeds of about 14 to 18 miles per hour, so a little bit more than we've been seeing over the past couple of days. And then looking into tomorrow, I don't have my clicker.
Keep talking.
Okay. Looking into the rest of tonight, we're seeing clouds, but that is to be expected. And then looking into tomorrow, we're going to see more clouds with a high of 53 and a low of 30. The wind speeds are coming up a little bit with 19 to 23 miles per hour rather than 14 to 18 like we're seeing today. And then as we continue to look into next week, on Saturday, we're seeing clouds again. It's going to be cloudy over the weekend with a high of 33 and a low of 18, sticking around the same wind. And then on Sunday, we're looking into some sun, finally, bring up everybody's spirits. But another high of 33 with a low of 20, so the weather's staying pretty consistent throughout the week. Lower wind speeds as we get further into the week. Looking into the beginning of next week, on Monday, we're seeing some partly cloudy skies, still seeing a little bit of that sun, with a high of 45 44 and a low of 35. Similar wind speeds to the rest of the week. It's going to stay the same. We're seeing clouds for the rest of the week with highs in the 50s, luckily towards the end of next week. And lows in the 30s, 40s, just about. So on Thursday, we are going to be seeing some rain, unfortunately, so make sure that you have your ponchos ready to go, a high of 38 and a low of 27. And then finally on Friday, we are going to be still seeing those clouds with a high of 41 and a low of 28.
Shit. Oh, keep talk.
Back to you.
Thanks, Alexa. Today, across the globe, it's annual Pokemon Day, and the event is celebrated by trainers on our campus. Our reporter, Kelly Doyle, has the story on why nearly 30 years after the franchise's creation, people still love to catch them all.
At the Bowling Green Pokemon scene, campus Pokemon fans connect over what began as a love for the pocket monsters, but has turned into a growing community and break from the week.
My whole goal with the club is to promote a club that people can de-stress from and meet people with similar interests and make friends.
One club goer, Marley Stevens, keeps coming back to Pokemon, partly because of the creative fan community.
I like how creative they are, especially when it comes to ROM hacks. People make their own evolutions for Pokemon and whole regions. It's great for when Game Freak doesn't release any games and there's a space where I want to play more Pokemon, but there's no mainstream games. I just find a fan game to play.
The demand for Pokemon content helps some fans turn their passion into a career. Pop culture TA Bucky Buckman says Pokemon's impact comes from a generation that grew up in a uniquely post-Pokemon world.
Being able to actually go out there and be like, oh yeah, I can make this whole career on playing video games for a living. Or going out and doing competitive Pokemon and getting money from that. I feel like there's that almost disconnect from the millennial Gen Z divide of oh yes, I'm going to do this for fun versus I'm going to do this to make a.
In more local news, BG's trans community is raising funds for gender-affirming care by holding an art show downtown. Inside the gallery at Transcendence Benefit, BG's trans community gathered to celebrate trans art. Jax Foster, the organizer, created a space for local trans artists to connect. During the night, all proceeds from the raffle, sponsors, and donations went to the nonprofit No More Dysphoria. For BGSU alumni, their art serves as self-expression. The night spotlit community through art and donations. Foster tells us how these donations help.
They'll help with getting binders, they'll help with HRT, surgery funds, and it goes right into the hands of trans people, which I think is super important, so there's no middleman.
The art show raised more than $2,000 for No More Dysphoria. It was a big weekend for Bowling Green on the hardwood, with both the men's and women's basketball teams picking up key wins on the road to Cleveland. Up next, we'll hear from Kevin Hutchinson about what the wins mean for BGSU hoops.
BG24 Sports is brought to you by the Falcon Media Sports Network. Hello everybody, my name's Kevin Hutchinson and we're going to get you right into today's sporting news. On Friday, February 21st, BGSU men's basketball took to Savage Arena in a rematch of the Battle of I-75. The Falcons established dominance early, propelled by 18 first-half points from senior guard Derek Butler, giving BG a 4-point lead heading into the half. Toledo would manage to gain some momentum back from the orange and brown in the second half, putting UT up by 1 with 3 seconds left. Junior guard Javante Campbell would step up into a hero role, fighting through traffic for a layup that would give BGSU the victory 69-68. head coach Todd Simon had this to say after the big win.
You know this thing's going to come down to the end. We're working on special situations. We're doing all these things to prepare for it. You know that these games are going to come down to the end. And the biggest thing for us it was we wanted our toughness to be on display.
Next up, BGSU men's basketball is going to take on Ball State at home Saturday, March 1st at 2 p.m. Moving over to the women's side, BGSU women's basketball battled the Rockets at the Stroh Center just 25 hours after the men's game. From the start, it was clear that the Falcons wanted to dominate, attempting to beat the Rockets for the first time since 2023, and for the first time under their first-time head coach, Fred Shamil. The Orange and Brown would go up big early in the game, but Toledo would draw the game within 5 heading into the half. Similarly to the men's game, Toledo kept on the Falcons' heels, but in the end, BG would get the job done 81-72. The biggest performer of the day was senior guard Amy Velasco, whose 30 points kept her 2 short of her career high. Here were Amy's thoughts after the major win.
You know, snapping their little winning streak is great. We went out there, we competed. You know, we're focusing on one game at a time.
The Falcons currently hold the longest win streak in the MAC, sitting at 5 games. And despite a strong weekend overall by Bowling Green, one place that fell flat was hockey. The BGSU ice hockey team returns to home ice on Friday against Lake Superior State. The team is now on a 3-game losing streak following back-to-back losses against Bemidji State last Friday and Saturday. Even though they already qualified for playoffs, the team is seeking home ice advantage in the CCHA Mason Cup playoffs. Now safety over spring break. That's going to be up next with Andrew Kish as he sits down with BGSU Police Chief and the Director of Public Safety to talk about how to keep yourself and your property safe over spring break.
Welcome to Community Corner, where we talk about important topics with people in the Bowling Green community. I'm Andrew Kish, and today I'm sitting down with BGSU Police Chief and Director of Public Safety, Michael Campbell, to talk about staying safe while on spring break. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate you having me.
Well, thank you. So to start off, for students leaving town for spring break, when should the safety preparation start? How should students secure where they live while they're gone?
Well, I think, if students are leaving out of town, some of the things to think about, especially in the space that they reside in, is that space going to be empty for the entire duration? Do they have roommates? Is there opportunities maybe for family and friends to check on that space? There's always those opportunities when no one's around where they could use lighting that turns on and off automatically. They could check with their local communities too. A lot of local communities, their police stations will do vacation checks or house checks as long as they let them know that they'll be gone. So City of Bowling Green, luckily for our community members here in Bowling Green, they do offer that service. So for our students that live here in the city limits, it could be a great opportunity.
And so if students are drinking alcohol on spring break in unfamiliar places, what are some precautions that they should be taking to keep themselves safe?
Well, first of all, the drinking age in the United States is 21, so hopefully they're abiding by the law and making sure that all those that are consuming alcohol are at least of the age of 21. But some of the basic guidance we would give is just making sure we're drinking responsibly. So that could come down to how much we're consuming, how quickly we're consuming those things as well. Making sure you're keeping track of your drink, so not leaving it unattended or accepting drinks from others that you don't know. I would always encourage to try and have somebody that is not drinking, though, within your group. So someone that could drive a vehicle, or even if you're walking, someone that could be there that's not consuming alcohol, that could be that responsible party.
And so students may be far from home on their spring break destination, and things such as their driver's license or passports might go missing. So what are some things students can do to not only prevent these important documents from being lost, but if they do go missing, what are some things they can do ahead of time to, still be able to get on that airplane?
Sure. Obviously, depending on where students are traveling, it could be a little bit different. If they're traveling within the United States or outside the states, could change that approach a little bit. First and foremost, I would just recommend retracking your steps. Maybe you dropped it somewhere on your path, or maybe you misplaced it in a bag or something of that nature. It could be that first step. But if it is lost or stolen, you could report those things to the local police department. You could start to monitor if you had credit cards or something in that nature within a wallet. You could monitor transactions or any kind of identity theft that goes along with that as well. If you're outside the U.S., obviously you're going to need that passport. So really contacting that local U.S. Embassy to start that process of identification and a method so you can return home on that flight.
And so lots of people love posting selfies from their vacations on social media, but that can sometimes open you up to problems. Are you able to discuss reasons on why you maybe should hold off on posting pictures while you're gone?
Well, I think that's the day and age we live in now, right? With social media and sharing those photos with friends and family for very good reasons. Some of the things that I would think as far as a precaution goes is going back to your first questions too, right? Do people know I'm not home, I'm not in my residence anymore, I'm gone, maybe in Florida or a long place, someplace far away from Bowling Green, that they might take that opportunity to kind of do some research, find out where you live, maybe look at your residence for an opportunity to break in or do something of that nature as well. Wouldn't discourage it, right? I think it's an important part of what we do in our society as well, and sharing those fun moments as well, though.
And so if someone finds themselves in an unsafe situation, what's the best advice that you give them?
Really, I mean, first and foremost, I'd say just be aware of your surroundings and definitely try and remove yourself for something you don't feel uncomfortable, if it's a situation you feel uncomfortable in. You always have an opportunity to contact that local police department or police agency where you're at. But if you don't have that opportunity, or maybe they're not responding in time, anytime you can walk away, get into well-lit areas, get into areas where there's lots of people, maybe walk into a store or restaurant or congested areas like that. Also, just trying to think about when you are traveling, traveling with friends or family, knowing that, we can go together to places, we can walk together, and we can watch out for each other.
And then lastly, are there any other safety tips you want us to be aware of while we're out of town next week for spring break?
Well, other than hopefully people take this opportunity to recharge those batteries, whether they're faculty, staff, or students. They do it safely, though. Spring break can be a lot of fun if we take some steps to make sure that we're doing it safely.
Well, Chief Campbell, thank you for joining me.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
BGSU's spring break officially begins on March 3rd. That's all for Community Corner. Back to Reese in the newsroom.
Thanks, Andrew. Since we're on the topic of spring break, we asked students around campus about their plans for next week.
For spring break, I'll be flying back to Los Angeles, and I'll be visiting Yosemite State Park and going skydiving.
I'm going to be working this weekend.
For spring break, I'll go back to Sandusky, go working, and golf with some of my buddies.
I'm spending time with family.
If you're working, I feel for you if you're working over spring break, I feel for you. As for me, if because I'm sure you're all dying to know, over spring break, I'll be heading back home to spend some much needed time back with my family, probably see some old friends from high school that I haven't seen in a couple years. So anyways, thanks for watching BG24. You can follow us for the latest news on social media at BG24 or online at bgfalconmedia.com. We'll be back March 13th with updates from around Bowling Green and Wood County. We'll see you then.